We got Big Mike. What's going on? Did you say Beanie?
Yep.
Bean. Number 1, you got Bean.
Number 2, you got...
No, number 2 is...
Override rich style.
Oh my gosh. All right, so we are working on a really exciting project. Dude, this camera looks so good. Anyways, we have all of these parts, and we have this STI. This is, I think, a 2019. I think it's the same as mine. A 2019 or 2020 STI, and right now it is rocking a stage 1 from Cobb with the red line. I think it's called intake. Well, it says SF, but this is, I think they call this red line or something. Anyways, I've got the light set up. We are going to tear this bad boy down because this guy is going stage 3. This is Chris. This is his STI. So we're going to start tearing everything apart, and we'll open up all those parts as we go. So I figured I'd make a video about this for our own reference, and for his reference too, so he can watch his car get built. So, lots of things. First one, let's just go over all the parts that we have to put on this car. We'll just start with whatever's closest here. So, number 1, this is the Injector Dynamics 1050cc injectors. These don't come with the nice little pigtails. Like, they normally have pigtails which connect the USCAR, which are these, to the Denso sensors, Denso plugs. So these are like, you gotta wire your own, and I kind of don't like that. So I think he's ordering the pigtails just because it makes it easier, and plug and play is always better. Now, these are some gaskets. He is doing a downpipe on this car. This should be the boost controller. We are also doing a boost controller, and thank you, K? I'm gonna go with K, from Grimmspeed. Grimmspeed is fantastic. I recommend all their products. We have a Grimmspeed splitter. This is the splitter that goes on top of a top mount intercooler. We also have the Cobb fuel pressure regulator. We also have, I forget what this one is. Oh, yep, there's the Grimmspeed Y pipe for the intercooler. And then we have the downpipe. And then we have a heat shield. And then we have the IAG AOS. And then inside here, that was the Injector Dynamics box. And then the intercooler itself. I'm trying not to show any of the shipping labels because I'm trying to expose the homie on the YouTube, you know?
Yeah, no bueno.
No bueno. No bueno. So anyways, now you can see what we've got to install. It's quite a bit, and it's going to be exciting to work on. So my first intention is to start tearing everything apart, starting with the intercooler and the intake. We'll just get that out of the way, and we'll start pulling things apart to get to not only the injectors, but we'll start making room for that air oil separator, because that's going to be a nice pain in the butt too. Before we actually install the AOS, we'll leave ourselves plenty of room to do the downpipe. So we'll do the downpipe first, and just get all the stuff underneath the car out of the way, and then we'll kind of move on from there. Shit. All right, well, I don't know if you could tell from the time lapse or not, but we were struggling to get this bolt off. Something is seriously wrong with it. It's actually bent, and I know that I wasn't the one who did that. So I don't know if it was the heat and eventually did that. I don't know, it was weird. Anyways, we got it out, so gonna pull the intercooler off now and shget. All right, so got the intercooler out. His is in pretty good shape, but it's gonna get trashed. We're gonna do the Grimmspeed one. So we'll just put this here. We got a lot of parts coming out. If you want to check this out, I'll show you what this looks like. So now we have full access to the turbo and the heat shield here. So you can see there is where the turbo sits underneath that, and just got the intercooler off. This is where your pitch stop is. So if you ever want to change your pitch stop mount, you got that there, which that does help. I do like that. I'm gonna start working on the heat shield, get all that off, and start working on the downpipe.
Sick.
All right, so after some time, we got the blasted heat shield out of here. That's a good shot.
Yeah, good. It's not too bad.
All right, so now gonna just start working on these downpipe bolts, get this downpipe off, and that's the plan. All right, so we are a few hours into this now. I forgot how freaking hard it is to get a downpipe off on an STI that has never been taken off before, but it is off, and this is what it looks like. Now, what's crazy is if you look at the back of the turbo here, so you have all this space right here. I'll take this off as a visual. So all of that you have essentially as like the back of the turbo. But if you look at this, look how small the hole actually is. There is not much space for airflow. So on the new Grimmspeed, there will be a second hole right here, which will make the airflow way better. So time to put this bad boy in the trash. Actually, no, don't put these in the trash. You can resell these. I'm gonna give it back to Chris, but just letting you know, don't throw these away, because either you keep them for your car and put them back on once you're done with your modifications, you gotta resell it, whatever, or find someone who buys these, because you can get money for these, the catalytic converters. Shit.
Good kind of, you know.
Yeah.
You put a lot of that in there, you're good.
All right, and now you can see inside the turbo. The little door on the right is the internal wastegate, and then you have the exhaust or the heat side of the turbo on the left there. And I'm actually taking this video, one, to show you what this looks like, but also I'm inspecting to make sure there's no cracks or anything, because sometimes it happens. But this is the VF, I think this is the 48, the VF 48 on these. I may be mistaken on the exact code, but I believe that's what this is. So now I can throw the aftermarket downpipe on and get that all ready to go. All right, so we are using a Grimmspeed product. This is the Grimmspeed catted downpipe with a ceramic coating. I believe it's ceramic. Anyways, it stops the heat, and that's all we need to know. Look at that beautiful Grimmspeed badging on there, and it comes with a bung for a wideband sensor. And as you can tell, that is a massive high quality cat right there. It's gonna stop those emissions. I don't know if you can see in there, but
Is this ceramic coating an option?
yes, I believe it is. And I mean, like, when you pick one of these up, the quality is just insane. Like, the welds and the coating itself is phenomenal. And you can see that second door we were talking about. Man, it's literally just a gorgeous piece. I mean, feel that coating. What do you think? It's a quality product.
Oh,
right?
no, yeah, it's nice, yeah. So that should keep the heat down.
Yeah, it looks really good. Yep, and there's the cat in there. There it be. Let's put it on. And, of course, we have to go with the Grimmspeed gaskets. So these are the Grimmspeed gaskets. Those are going to go on, one on the turbo side and one on the flange on the back. And there you go. Bing bong. All right, so now we are to the point where the downpipe is on. It looks so good right there. And then I just capped off the little bung. I think he is going to go with a wideband AFR gauge there. We're just waiting on that to come in. And I did have to reinstall this bracket because and you can see I burned myself pretty good on the engine right there. But this bracket right here is going to house the new Grimmspeed heat shield. So we're going full Grimmspeed on this bad boy. I dig it. So tomorrow I will be back in the morning. We're going to do the air oil separator. We're going to do the injectors, the fuel pump. And, you know, I might be able to knock everything out tomorrow as far as this stage 3 goes. So we shall see. Shket. All right, so we are back. Day number 2. The next thing that I am going to do is remove these back seats. We got to get to the fuel pump, which sits down here. We're going to pull it out of the tank and insert the new AEM fuel pump. So that is going to be our first mission for the day. All right, so just to show you inside here, I took that little plate off that sits right on top of here. I've already begun disconnecting these lines. So these are your fuel lines. You got to disconnect them there. I would suggest maybe get like a little rag or something. You can tell it does leak a little bit. And ideally, you'd like to drain your fuel pressure before you do this. So I actually did not do that, so I will expect a little bit of pressure in the lines. One way that you can drain your fuel pressure is unplug your fuel pump fuse and turn your engine on and just kind of let the engine sputter out, and it should get rid of all of the pressure that's in the car. And I didn't do that, and I can't do that because the engine is all apart right now because of the stage 3. that we're putting on, but that'll be fine. We'll just put some rags under here and it should absorb any gas that comes out. But anyways, let's go ahead and get moving here. Then what we're gonna do is remove these bolts here. There are a bunch of them. They go all the way around, and then that will allow the tank to actually come out. Or not the tank, but the hanger, and we'll pull the whole hanger out and we'll have access to our fuel pump. Okay, so when you get those bolts off, this little bracket comes out, and then our fuel pump should essentially just lift right out of here. I'm going to put the phone down and carefully pull this out, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, and there you go. We have the gas in the gas tank there. I'm probably just gonna lay this over the top just to cover that up. And here we go. Here is our whole assembly. Now, inside of this is going to be the actual pump. So this part, you just have to be very careful. And this is cool too. Here is the mechanism which actually tells the car how much gas is in the vehicle. This little floater here goes up and down, as you can see, to tell the car how much gas is actually in the tank. So you want to be careful with that too, because you don't want to damage that mechanism. So let's go ahead and start getting this thing apart. Okay, now you can see we have the bottom bucket assembly off of the main assembly here. One thing to notice, that little O-ring down there to the right, that is very important. I actually, when I was building my STI, we ended up running low on fuel pressure on the dyno, and it turned out that little guy down there gave us an issue, and that connects to here. So just be very careful and make sure that everything lines up, and don't force anything, because one small thing like that can ruin your dyno day. So we'll be very, very careful. And here is your actual fuel pump in here with the filter, and you can see his filter has actually picked up a few things like some metal shards and whatever may be contaminated down in there in the tank. So we're gonna remove this now and get the new AEM one in. Okay, so the next step was to remove this piece from this piece. There's a tiny little pin slash holder piece here that you gotta remove from here. And then it all comes apart. And now we can get to the clips that hold the actual fuel pump. You do also have to unplug the pump itself right here. And just careful, because it's connected to this fragile little copper piece. And that can come undone very easily if you're not careful. What is going on, guys? We are back with the STI, working on the fuel injectors now. I did install the fuel pump. I did that on TikTok Live, so that was actually really fun. If you don't follow the TikTok, it's also Boxer Baddies. I tend to do that once in a while, so did the fuel pump on there, and now we're doing the injectors. This shield is a pain in the butt. It's going to require me to remove this banjo bolt, which I really don't want to, but you have to, because this bolt back there, you can see where I'm pointing to, there is no way to back that out without bending this back a little bit. There is just no way. And then you've got your TGV connector here that's also in the way. So unplug that, and you can see it back there. It's a pain. But once these are out, you leave them out because of this. All right, I just want to show you exactly what you have to do. So you have to pull this line and bend it all the way back, because you can see, look, even my ratchet almost has no room. It is squeezed against the TGV sensor there. So like, it's crazy. It's crazy how, I don't even know how they built it like that. Like, how did they get those pieces together? I have no idea. But anyways, I just figured I'd show you. You have no idea how satisfying this is. Oh, and of course something's still attached. And there you go, it's off. And you can see how much more we have access to now. We have access to the injectors here, which is exactly what we're trying to do. But when you've got a giant metal shield in your face, there's no way to get to it. And on top of that, we're gonna have to get over here anyway, because we have to do the AOS. So thank goodness we got that trash out. Oh my God, it is over 100 degrees out right now. I am just like dripping. This has been probably the hardest part of this whole thing, and it probably will be. I remember this being extremely difficult on mine as well. It's just, look how packed in this is, and I've already removed some things, including the battery. Look how packed in. I also had to remove the oil fill because there's too much in the way. So this finally got loose, and now I've had to unplug a bunch of stuff and get it out here. Each side has taken at least 45 minutes, but that is just how intricate the bolt placement is and how difficult it is. All right, so a little update on what's going on here. I've kind of just been doing things and then making little videos here and there just on the progress. So the injectors are ready to go in. As you can see, there's no injectors in there. So I just got the little pigtails. That way we can plug them straight into the Denso harnesses into what they call the USCAR style plug-in on the injectors. And all we have left is the AOS top mount intercooler. And I think that's it. Oh, and the wideband sensor and the oil pressure sensor. So he just picked those up, so that'll take a little more time. And our oil pressure sensor is down in there, so we might have to move a bunch of things around to get to that. Might even have to move the alternator, but we'll see. All right, and I want to add this to show you how important it is to have an air oil separator. This engine has just over 20,000 miles, and look at the amount of oil that's sitting around the throttle body. It's more so around it, and it's just soaked, and it's just, I mean, it's like pooling in here, and it was all in the intercooler too, so that'll retard your engine combustion and lead to problems. So AOS is going to be very helpful for this guy. Okay, so now the injectors are done and all the fueling stuff is done, so now we are working on the air oil separator. So getting ready to pull the throttle body off, you just partially have to remove that. There is a excellent step-by-step video from IAG on their V3 2018 through 2021 STI installation videos, and definitely check that out. I've done a million of these now, so just cruising right along, but a fantastic step-by-step if you don't know how to do one of these. They can be kind of tricky if you've never done one. They used to be way more difficult, and they've made it easier with their V3 application, so definitely go check that out if you're installing one of these. What's going on, guys? We're back. Just doing a quick oil pressure gauge install and AFR gauge install. We got Mike and we got Mike.
Yo.
Working on the car today. So we're gonna bang this out real quick and it's almost done. All right, so battery's on. Mike wired up all of the AEM gauges here. And we're gonna see if they come on here. So without the foot on the pedal, just pushing the button will turn it on. I have the key with me.
Oh.
And then one more time. Oh, try that. And one more should actually turn the vehicle on, like on position. Like press it once more. There you go. Sweet.
Yeah, both sense and
yeah, once it
they
turns
need
on.
to turn the car on.
Yeah. Sick. All right, so we're back with the Subi. It's almost done. We are going to insert the torque solution little adapter for the oil pressure sensor because that one that we had just wasn't working. So we got this. It'll fit the fitting that we need for the AEM oil pressure gauge. And then intake, intercooler goes back on and button up a couple other things, and then she's ready for the base map. All right, and now I have the Grimmspeed top mount intercooler mounted. What a beautiful piece of art this intercooler is. It's really awesome, and just like holding it in your hands, it's a really solid piece, very well made. But that being said, also, it was one of the most difficult parts to put on here. I know I think I keep repeating myself in this video. I'm like, oh yeah, that was so difficult. That was so difficult. I mean, every bit of stage 3 on an STI is pretty challenging. It's just annoying. There are a lot of annoying little parts and crevices and things to get into. And until you disassemble an STI from like the injector standpoint and the intercooler and getting a lot of that stuff out of there that the car really doesn't need, they just kind of throw in there for heat shielding and whatnot, it's very hard to work on. But now that the injector shields are off and all those things are off, which people usually always leave off, things are much more accessible when you need to work on them. I always recommend a top or a front mount though. If you're using an AOS, it just makes it easier and safer. And I say safer in the sense that if there was an oil leak or something popped off underneath where the intercooler is, where the AOS lines are going in, because there are a lot of lines that run that way, you're gonna have to completely remove your entire intercooler, which takes, this one, I actually managed to throw on, which I still gotta put the gasket on there. I managed to throw this on in about 2 hours, so 1.5, 2 hours, which is pretty good work considering how tight it is. But I couldn't just stick it on. I had to first put the coupler on the turbo, and then the one that goes into the Y pipe, and then throw the intercooler on. And it was a nightmare, and because there was absolutely no other way. And it was so tight that I had to use an aftermarket coupler because it just wasn't going to work. So that's the dealio. We'll throw the intake back on. He's going to come over later tonight. We're going to flash the car. She should make some power. All right, and now we have the entire engine complete and ready for tune. All right, so we are getting ready to start the car for the first time, stage 3. The crankshaft position sensor is off just to prime everything and get that fuel primed up in there. All right, go ahead and give it a shot, see what happens. Well, actually. And then stop it. Perfect. Oh, so it does prime for you. Give it a rip. First time moving. For a base map, it's surprisingly good. AFRs are great. All right, so doing the first test drive here, and everything looks awesome. Oil pressure, AFRs. I mean, the AFRs are a little funky, but it's a base map. Otherwise, not bad at all. Holding about 19 pounds of boost. Just had to make sure there's no leaks and that we're not losing any kind of boost pressure or anything. So, what do you think?
Pretty good.
That's pretty good. And there he goes. Everything went really, really well. It's a really fun power band to be had. So I'm happy for him and excited for his future build. So that is how you do a stage 3, essentially, a stage 3 on a Subaru STI.